I think you can maybe start slowly. That's the best way. Introductions, and then people join in while.
So I will say a few words, Jonathan, just to welcome you. Just to welcome Jonathan. Jonathan, it's a great pleasure for us to have you again with us, to see you. And we are really looking forward for an exciting talk. You have, let's say, around 40-45 minutes for presentation. Then we have another 15 minutes for Q&A. And let's hope more people will join. And Jonathan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, my friend. Now, at one level, I'm so happy to be with this group. At another level, I'm disappointed because last time I talked to you guys, I said, we're going to have to get together on the beach in Tel Aviv over hummus and iced coffee to take this a little further. It will happen, just not yet. I love it. And after, I don't have a wedding, a bar mitzvah, or a Maccabee Games. I'd be going just because. Well,
Maccabee again.
None of those. Okay. But also to my buddy, thank you for setting this up, because this really is a part, let's say it, of the launch tour for the new book called Market Insight from Events, and a lot of it is going to come from there. So yeah, I'll try to talk for 45 minutes. You know, let me know if I'm getting close to that one. I tend to get very animated. It's a cultural trait. Now, what I'm going to talk about today, I'm looking at how events can be used for innovation and R&D purposes. I'm going to talk about how the Event Intelligence Toolkit can help your organization's innovation and R&D personnel do a better job. Notice I'm saying event intelligence, not trade show, because we're applying these techniques at trade shows, conferences, parties, basically anywhere people get together. In fact, Avner, I don't know if you remember, but one of my last columns was, "'Tis the season to do CI." And then I said, "We'll dance to the hora and collect CI around the menorah." So we were adapting that. I want to explore why you want to integrate R&D and innovation personnel into your event intelligence team, and also introduce you to the book itself. Now, the concept of innovation.
Just if you wanted to change to the side-by-side view that we did before.
Wow. Okay. Let's see if I can do that.
No, you can leave it as is, I think. It's good.
All right.
Found before a very nice format, so we can see.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's see if I can do that. Remember, I did it before. We found this really neat mode that we haven't seen again. Oh well.
You don't have it? Okay.
I might.
I think, Jonathan, maybe you will leave it as is. I think it's good. We can see, we can hear.
There you go. It's not ideal, but it's the best we're going to get. Okay. Now, I will tell you R&D, innovation, and CI. I mean, this is important to me. Why? And after this is new since we last talked. I'm a UNESCO chair of anticipatory systems for innovation and new ventures. So my UNESCO chair is about taking RCI techniques to help organizations be innovative and startups as well. I've written a lot about events as great places for learning about innovation R&D for many years, and I've worked in it as well. I can tell you I've had over 30 years working on innovation R&D at events and outside of events. The book itself, and this is a comment from Laura Young and Ellen Naylor, who are real great CI personalities. They read the book and said one of the biggest things they took away was that you can do event intelligence around R&D and innovation. I thought that was important because I'll be referring back to that as we go through. So that's just a little bit about, you know, in a sense, what's going on. Now, innovation and R&D need us. Let's be very clear about this. You are CI professionals. You are externally focused. They are not. And I have taught hundreds upon hundreds of technology entrepreneurs and other entrepreneurs, worked with dozens upon dozens of firms. And this is my consistent response that I get from organizations in CI and in foresight. Not invented here syndrome. They're so internally oriented. Customers would be stupid if they didn't buy this. I've had that more often than not I love this one. I have no competitors because nothing does exactly what theirs does. I just love it. This is disruptive.
It's quite difficult to Israel, you know. You're coming. It's
I know.
Okay,
you're absolutely
right.
I
have no competitors. It's such a big notion here in Israel. You come across with them and say, discuss, you know, competition market. So don't worry, we don't have competitors. Okay.
But I will tell you, when we're done here, we're going to have to think of how to translate this for Israel to get them away from this. My personal favorite is the number of innovation, new venture folks, R&D that says, not just that it's innovative, it is disruptive and truly disruptive. And I go, why do you say it's disruptive? They say, because I say so. Well, does that sound Israeli, Abner?
No.
But not only
you know, Israelis know everything.
You got it. Not only do they need my help, because look at this, I got to help them understand if it's innovative, what the R&D is. I need their help. And you remember our buddy Joe Goldberg?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. So Joe asked me many years ago, he goes, I'm not a scientist, I'm not an engineer. Should I really be running the intelligence function at this company? And I said, you're a good runner of intelligence functions, but you're right, you need their help. When you're planning, you and I, people that are out there, unless you are an engineer or a scientist and the right kind, depending on your kit, you don't know who to talk to. You think they do, but they know who to talk to. They know what to look for. A scientist, not a scientist. An engineer is not an engineer. Look at the specialties. Collection, and I've been to enough biotechnology trade shows to say this with a lot of confidence. They know how to talk to fellow scientists. We don't. They speak their language. We don't. They have their own friendlies, their own network. And even to take it further, I've been on too many trade show missions in technology where a vice president of a major company thought they understood. And I had to send somebody from the team in who is a scientist to find out what was really going on. Analysis. I know business analytical techniques. They know technical analysis. I'm impressed by engineers and other scientists who can look at a piece of technology and tell me what its strengths and weaknesses are, not from a market perspective, but from technology perspective. And the other reason why I kind of need their help as well is when I write up these reports, or they write these reports up, they're giving it to the VP who's going to share it with the VP R&D technology innovation. I don't speak their language. They do. So I need to know what words do I use to cause the intelligence, technical intelligence that I developed to be accepted. So I recognize that as a CI professional, there's a lot I can do to help my company, but I also need R&D's help. So as we go through today, you're going to look at how we can spread our wings within organizations. And by the way, they can use our help. Now, I don't know how many of you know Sir Alan Rudge, but Alan Rudge is one of the most prominent engineers, I'd say, ever. He's in the Royal Society in the UK. He's been CTO for more companies. This guy's amazing. And I loved when he told me this, nothing to do with CI. He says, a good R&D team is an antenna about what's going on in the field. Every new threat becomes an opportunity if you're aware of it in a timely company. You and I would look at this and say, isn't that CTI? At British Telecom, we built a marketing center for the companies in the center of our R&D lab. The theme for visiting customers. Don't be worried about technology change. So their technology centers were mining competitive customer intelligence as they came in. We look after your future. Now, if I had taken off R&D team, everybody here should say, yeah, that's what my CI team does. But it's an R&D team, and they have not been trained to do this. So perhaps we can help them do this more effectively. And again, I go back to Avner for a big thank you. Well, a lot of the information here comes out of the book that just got released. You can get a free copy of it. You'll get a copy of these slides a little later on. There was a webinar last week. That webinar is free to view as well. So a lot of what I'm saying now, you're going to get a lot more depth from as we go through. I wrote the book for a whole bunch of reasons. One is to improve CI practitioner skills, to call it tradecraft. So as we go through the talk, think about how this will help you do a better job on innovation and R&D kits. Help anyone who goes to events.
Jonathan, just mentioned that people can get the book from the Skip website.
Yeah, can you not see that at the bottom of the slide?
Yes, I see.
Good. And you guys will get copies of this afterwards. This is all on the Skip website.
Yeah.
I have been doing trade shows since I was 12, 13 years old. And I know lots of people go to events. We talk about TSI, but there is a lot of marketing folks, sales folks, R&D, human resources, you name it, government officials. And the idea with the book is to say, we can help you do a better job at the event since you're there to get information. And we can talk a lot about that because there have been many studies of why people go to events. I want to expand the scope of CI. I just hear too many CI teams that are focused only on the competition or majorly. And I'm going, no, I want to give you a book that talks about doing CI for sales and marketing, for R&D, for HR, every area of the organization. We need to help in more than just competitors, but also give the CI professionals something to share with the organization, to pull out some of the cases and say, see, look how this worked to help. It's a reach out. It's to make the case for CI. It's to share and work together. And Abner, the reason why I'm excited about this talk, and I thank you for bringing me in, is that all the other talks I'm doing around the book is around the book. But when you look at what I'm trying to accomplish for the book, this talk hits every one of these objectives. It is about specifically using this for R&D and innovation. So I get to be a little bit more fun focused. Now, trade shows, R&D, and innovation. In the book, you know, I wrote it's a great place to find innovation. Companies go to display what they think is innovative. Customers are talking about innovation. It really is extraordinary. Seminars and workshops are held on this topic. So bottom line is that I go to an event and I see innovation, 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 innovation all over the place. That's me, and I'm a CI professional looking for it. But it's not just CI people that are saying innovation and R&D. Take a look at these quotes. One is from Forbes magazine. Want innovation? Go to a trade show. I kind of like that. Far from being a relic of bygone age, today's trade shows interact, learn, strike a deal with America's next generation of innovators. And by the way, I'm doing this on virtual shows, and there's a chapter on that. I love this one. This is from Impact, a very major show. Trade shows expand corporate access to open innovation. Thousands of inventions, yada, yada, yada. So I'm seeing a lot of trade shows now that are saying, come to us if you want to see innovation. Come to us if you want to be innovative. And I love this from General Mills. They created a worldwide innovation network. Now, amongst the activities, they tasked employees with attending inventor trade fairs and trade shows around the world so they could bring back new and innovative ideas. So again, when I say to you, trade shows are valuable for gathering the information, developing the intelligence for R&D and innovation, it's very simple to say, yeah, CI says that. No, it's not CI that says that. It's trade shows. It's companies. And they've never heard of CI, quite frankly. This is just what they're tasking their employees to do. Why I say that they're so good is customers are there. They decide if it's innovative. They will tell you what they want and why. Are you set up to capture that information and analyze it on site? The best CEOs, and we got this, for example, from Steve Jobs, say it's not just they know what the customers want, they know why. They know what needs to be done to satisfy what the customer thinks is innovative. Governments and associations are there. They know what's going on. I mean, they can tell you the R&D that's in the pipeline going many years. They can tell you what companies they're impressed with. And by the way, I've run some workshops where the companies have presented their kits, key intelligence topics, only if government associations go, no, you're wrong. That's not what you should be investigating. We'll tell you what you should investigate because we get to see you. Competitors are there. They're talking about and showing what they are working on. So if you're sitting there and saying, I really admire this company, well, what are they working on? And in fact, the entire information value chain is there. Suppliers, you name it, they're there talking about what they're working on, where they see the industry going. Heck, they're there so that you can say, I'm thinking of this innovative top product. They can tell you what they think. I'm thinking of this research and development. They can tell you what they think. There's a lot of places to go for innovation R&D. We know this as CI professionals. The R&D staff, innovation staff, they don't know this. Now, they know there's workshops and booths. They don't always know there's innovation sections. They don't always know there's poster sessions. And poster sessions to me, and this is a nice picture from one, Area A, that for me has been an absolute boon for understanding what is innovation, where's R&D going. And because the people that are presenting something that are 10 to 15 years away from commercialization. It's their view, academics, corporate practitioners, and others, as to where they want to bring their organization. Not only that, those that present posters are so eager to talk about it. It really is quite extraordinary. It doesn't require much. So because of that opportunity, in the book, there's a lot on R&D. You got aligning intelligence with your organization's innovative strategy, open innovation and intelligence, putting R&D into your event intelligence program. There's a lot of information there that will help you go, and I'm going to talk a bit about some of it. I got some good chapters to pull out that can help with our R&D innovation program. And then there's indirect. I got one article in there, chapter on being ready for a scientific conference, the intelligence approach. And I use that approach for a technology-oriented conference. And a lot of people have said, and this, even the Foresight community, they said, I didn't realize you could use this approach to effectively mine a scientific conference. I'll talk about creative event intelligence at PitCon, but it's something that will not just help you, but will help your employees that are going. Working with friendlies is something I've talked a lot about. So I'll deal with that in this discussion as well. And I also say an indirect is we got collecting information at events. This is tips from our best collectors, and this is something not just you can use, but since your staff is going to a trade show to talk, to interview, to gather, it will help them. We know how to interview. We know how to listen. We know how to watch. It's unfortunate that our sales and marketing staff know how to argue and push and say we're really good. And if you're Israeli, Avner will tell me more about that. We know how to plan. All right. And this is something that's in the book. This is something I've written a lot about. I need people who go to an event to know where they're going and why. Put R&D and innovation into the plan. Help others that they're going to be event, be ready to pick up the information needed for R&D and innovation. And when they start filling this out with you, I think you're going to find out that most people are going for fun. Oh, I'm going to reconnect with a friend. That's good, but can we turn that into a collection opportunity in innovation and R&D? I'm going for personal development. Great, trade shows are where people go and conferences to learn about what's going on, but can we focus them? And so again, sit down with the people that are going, look at what their plans are. Sit down with the people in your organization responsible for R&D and innovation and ask, how can I help you when I'm at the event? Take a look what's there. And when I talk about helping in planning, even something as simple as route planning, you take a look at these pictures, some of these shows, and there's one, there two of them, have 7 kilometers of space between the first booth and the last booth. Even helping them understand where to hit and when to optimize their travel time. Online events. Gang, I've had so much fun with online events and training and bringing companies because they're so confusing. They don't know where to go for information. They don't understand the technology. I've had, how do I get to booths? How do I talk to people? We know, and we can help with that. We have tradecraft to help with selecting appropriate events. I'll tell you, my frustration with so many groups is that they go to an event and they think about what they want to see the day of or the night before. And if you think I'm only talking about R&D and technical staff, last SCIP conference I was at live, you wouldn't believe how many CI professionals came up to me and said, hoped I would bump into you. I looked at them like they were morons. You're CI professionals. You know I'm giving a talk, don't you? You can see me there. You know my email address. You can email me and set up a meeting. CI is not about random dumb luck bumping in, although it does happen. It's about pre-plan. And even when we select appropriate events, the S&T folks that I've brought, R&D, take a look at the title, AI and Analytics for Autonomous and Robotic Systems, and they go, is that something that's important to me that I'm interested in? Yes, check off. No, crop it out. So is the topic relevant to my information needs? That's top level. But then take a look at the presentations themselves. I've had too many shows where the workshop title and the presentations didn't match. And until I looked at it in detail, I went, yeah, I need that presentation. I also take a look at the speakers, because if I have a good information collection plan, if I know what I'm doing with innovation and R&D, does the industry think it's innovative? I will look at who's presenting, the names, and say, maybe the topic doesn't interest me, but that's the person I need to talk to. And I need to talk to them because I fill in the blank, and I know where they're going to be. And I've had a lot of luck going to these events, waiting around, and then talking to them as they get down. Do not talk to them before the speech, because their mind is somewhere else. But afterwards, have a lot of fun with that. And then I got a little thing down there. CI professionals know this. Who's going to be at the session that I would like to meet? Who is it going to attract? Many of the shows I go to now on workshops say this person is going to be in the workshop. I can actually connect with them. Are there people, customers, competitors whose questions I want to hear? So we as CI professionals can go to not just ourselves, but others and go, let's look creatively through this material to see R&D, innovation, how to focus that in. And let me go a little further in this one. And I got a really cool article. Oh, we got somebody, someone's talking.
Yeah. Okay,
so
go on, Jonathan, that's fine.
I got a lot of stuff on innovation. So let me just go deeper into that. I've often said, take all of your organization innovation ideas to trade shows, events to determine which ones are truly innovative. And when I say innovative devices, again, I'm involved with the EU, I'm involved with a lot of groups. There is, depending on what you look at, 10 to 15 different types of innovation. And so you go to your organization and you say, are we looking at our profit model? Are we looking at our network, our structure, our processes? Configuration isn't innovation. Am I looking at my product? Do I want to know innovation in product performance, product systems, innovation experience, customer experience, channel brand, service? So that what I'm doing here is saying, when you start helping your company be more innovative, the first question I'm going to ask you is, innovative in what? What constitutes being innovative? What part of your organization? And then in terms of open innovation, and this comes from the Open Innovation School, they say, don't you wish all the bright people worked for your firm? Well, if I go to an event, I should be looking at innovation from the perspective of, who do I want to drag in to help my company's innovation program? Who do I see here that everybody else admires? And I will go to a show and say, who are the top 3 people in your mind in this technology area? When I start seeing commonality, I'll go meet them or send one of my friendlies in to do it as well. Use the innovation value chain. I'm not going to go in detail on that. It's in the book, to identify the stage at which each of the organization's ideas is at. And it's going to be kind of fun to sit down with the right staff and go, all right, what are you working on in innovation? Where is it at in the value chain? How close to implementation? Now let's take a look at, when I go to the show, what intelligence needs do you need to make the decision as to move forward or backward, forward or not? And that's classic CI. And the company official might say, I never thought about that. I need to know, Look at how the trade show could provide that information needed. And then for each innovation idea, through open innovation, use the trade show to identify the right people and the right partners. Even something like how we can help them. Do they know how to mine the information in advance? And I've already talked a bit about poster sessions, and we need to train the technical staff to ask the technical questions to the technical people. Honestly, I've gone to poster sessions and I have no idea what some of this language means. I don't know how many types of glycerides there are. I didn't realize the difference between 5 different types of engineers, and my son is an engineer and I helped him on his project. So I get it. I cannot speak their language. I need the help, or I need them to give me questions to ask and things to look for. This is a neat one as well. This is on innovation. So this is at a inventor innovation event. And who you see in the middle there, and you'll love this, it's called Pitching to the Bubbies. And it's either women who are investors or the mothers of very successful business people. And One of the ones in there is the mother of Shopify's president, a rather big company. Now, I bring that picture up because my innovator pitched her idea to this group, and she came back really upset. And I said, what's wrong? She goes, they asked me one question only. And I said, and what was that? This company manufactures a milk substitute spread that is absolutely extraordinary. She said, they asked me, will it evenly melt? And I went, well, why is that a bad question? She goes, there's so many other things they should have asked me about. So I went, as only CI can. Let me explain to you who you were pitching to. You pitched to 4 Bubbies, 4 Jewish women. And they figured out really quickly, they can't mix milk and meat, but this will allow them to make a lasagna that tastes like a real lasagna with what you have on. You have just potentially opened up one of the largest markets, growing markets in the world, which is the kosher and halal market. She didn't know that. Okay, she didn't know how to read the body language. She did not know the backgrounds of the people she was pitching to. She didn't know anything that would require her to interpret the question and the body language to see if it was an opportunity or a threat. By the way, I've also told some of my techies, when this person tells you your idea is bad, don't listen to them. They're a moron. Do they know how to protect the information? And this is something I've seen over and over and over again. This is at a biotechnology show. I'm not telling people not to talk. Let's be very clear in this message. Science grows, innovation grows because people talk to each other. Open innovation is getting bigger because we realize A, the culture of the younger people is to share, and B, it's the best way to make R&D and innovation happen. But there's a but. The but is that there's some things you can't share, and they need to know that. They need to know about physical, we know these things, physical security. What do you have on your computer? What are you carrying? A lot of the folks will say to me, oh, don't worry about it. I've erased anything important. Well, I said, have you heard about undelete programs? Make it difficult for people to tuck your computer into their bag. I have been at shows where their computers have gone missing. Oh, and then turned up 3 days later and they thought they were lucky. The people, make sure everyone going to the event knows what to say. I'm not telling them what to say. I'm saying to them, these are the 3 things that are so important to our organization that for God's sake, don't talk about them. Or I have a policy for sensitive questions because sometimes a potential customer, an innovation specialist, R&D will come to the booth, will see you and go, "Ay, that looks like a really neat idea. Does it do the following? Are you working on it?" And so they're told any question in these areas, bring to me, bring to the CI team. I'm going to help you. One of my other things I tell people, that especially engineers that are going to the event, is, for God's sake, limited or no alcohol. There's a joke in CI that goes, you could pour as much alcohol as you want into a marketing and salesperson, and they'll say nothing. But pass a cork under the nose of a scientist, R&D, tell them you like your patent, and they're going to be yours. So it's a bit of a bad joke, but it really gets across telling people to be very, very careful. I talk a lot about open intelligence. And again, I'm not going to go into much detail here, but the idea is to say, hey, wait a minute, if I'm trying to be innovative, maybe, and now we're going to the external, which is the real open intelligence, maybe I should actually be talking to the people that are there about what they think I should be focused on when it comes to innovation. What do they think is happening in the environment? So bring lots of people in. What do they think I should be studying? A big good point was made by Ellen Naylor at the webinar about the conference. And she said, I really like the way at that last conference, Jonathan set up a networking session where he invited in 20 people. We had such a great conversation. And that was to help me figure out what was going on. You know, analysis techniques and methods. I got to do real-time analysis with my CI program. I'm trying to do R&D technology analysis. Why am I not thinking about bringing these folks in when I'm at the event, taking them out for a drink, taking them out for a meal, and the list goes on. So the concept is to say, okay, I'm looking at R&D and innovation. I get it. I'm not a scientist. I get it. I'm not an engineer. So I'm going to pull some of those folks in every day and say, what does this mean to you? What should it mean to me? Where should I go elsewhere? There's also a lot in the book about your trade show team needs your help. And I'll talk a bit about sales and marketing as well in this one. Why not say to the R&D staff that are heading out there, why don't you go, I'm going to help analyze. I'm going to help you learn who to talk to. I'm going to teach you how to profile. I'll tell you a bit about that in a second. How's about developing information collection plans so that they consistently gather information? Identify whether the person in the booth at the event is a real opportunity, because that's where online events, by the way, really rock. I love the online for identifying this information. Let's work with them to say, can you get the right information? To figure out the person's role in the organization. How's about facilitating data capture and storage? I will tell you from staffing booths over the years, normally a senior person from the company comes to me at the end of the day and says, what did you learn today? For God's sake, I don't remember my name at the end of the day. My feet, I can't even walk. The best I can remember is the last 30 or 40 seconds. Train staff in interviewing techniques and approaches. Now remember, in intelligence, we say it's integration of information. We're sending all these people to events. Can we help them? Now I'm going to tell you a sad story arising from a technology event that I was at. I was helping my client purchase equipment in the food security business. And they're looking to buy millions of dollars each year. And they want to know, where is the technology going so they can invest in the right equipment and right infrastructure. And so away I go to the show. I go into a booth and I was so impressed with the individual I met. And she asked me all the right questions, and I explained to her who I was, that this was a technology foresight intelligence project. I told her who the client is. We are very big in CI about the ethics of it. And then she said she would send me more information. 1 week after the conference, I got an email from her VP who says, I understand you want to buy a piece of our equipment. How can I help you? And I emailed back and I said to him, no, I'm not buying. The client is buying. And I was here as part of a technology intelligence project to figure out where the technology is going, but they'll eventually buy. He then emails me back and says, I don't understand what technology intelligence is, but are you going to buy? And I said, eventually. And then he emails back, why are you wasting my time? And I actually wrote a column about that going, holy crap, CI would have designed the forms. CI would have ensured communication flow for eventual follow-up. CI would have analyzed to figure out where I sit in this process and how to best approach me. So again, I'm seeing trade show teams muck up because we haven't taught them how to organize. I've done a lot of work, as I said, working with friendlies, and one technology show I was at, I was one person, and by the end, I had over 100 collecting for me. And when I talk about friendlies, this is about, and again, this goes back to the technical element. I need technical people to ask the right questions. I need customer folks, sales and marketing, to talk to customers. There's a whole range of skill sets I need, depending on that information need. So working with friendly says, who going to the event cares about me or cares about my company, and they're going to help me? Who going to the event is planning to go to this workshop, to this session that could ask on my behalf? Because I really don't want to create more work for my friendlies. And so that if you could start thinking about, for this intelligence need, who's in the best position to ask the question? And maybe you're a one-person team. Who do I draw in? We've got lots of stories about this. Or I'm not going to the event, but who's at the event that I could task with doing it? And by the way, one of the columns, articles I have on using social media, I talk about mining the tweets at the event, social media, and then sending a message to the person who's tweeting at that session saying, would you mind asking a question on my behalf? So again, these are folks that really want to ask questions. These are folks who understand the language and the technology. These are the folks that are connected and they want to share. They want to participate. Final thing, that I thought was really critical in this book is this concept of ethics in events. And Lori Young and Ellen Naylor made a big deal about how happy they were to see that ethics are being brought in. Now, I'm here to tell you that being unethical at events is stupid, and I'll explain that in a second. And there's lots of temptation to do unethical things at events. There really is. I had one individual who has a false card that identifies him as a customer. And I said, but it's got your email address and website on it. What happens when they check you out? They said, oh, I'd have a web page that makes it look like that's who I am. Oh, I have a LinkedIn page where I'm listed like that. It's a whole phony persona. And I'm just shaking my head and going, why would you do that? Temptation to listen in, to hide, to oversee, temptation to get people drunk. I've never seen so much unethical behavior. I've got people who tell me they wear their badge in certain places so the person will feel uncomfortable if they look at it. And I shake my head. That is not competitive intelligence. That is industrial espionage. And so when we talk about ethics at events, something to remember, and this comes from Ken Potter, interviewing is an exchange relationship, emphasis on the relationship. If you engage in unethical behavior, if you misrepresent yourself, you're not going to develop that relationship. Eric Glittman talks about maybe you're at that event to make contacts for future CI. And I've done that with scientists. I've said, can we get together for a coffee afterwards? I want to become your friend, whatever it might be. And if that's what I want to do, I better be open and honest. I better portray the right body language, and the list goes on. I was actually at one show, and this is a science and tech one, where I said, I want to make these 10 friends. And I went through the show. I had the profile, meeting them, attending workshops, and developing and cultivating the relationship. There was only one person I hadn't met, and I noticed he was doing the closing speech. So he made the speech. I went up on stage as people were leaving. I said, hi, you don't know me, but I'm a friend of fill in the blank. He said, of course I know you. I've heard all about you. I was wondering when I'd bump into you. Back to event intelligence. He's now a good buddy that has given me so much valuable information, open source. And finally, it's your organization's reputation and your reputation on the line. And Skip has made a very big deal about pushing this ethics line. People are at events and they want to talk. And if you know how to interview, you know how to gather, you're golden. I was at one defense show. You think they'd be secret. One of the people in there in R&D saw me, loves me, and he says, Yonatan, yes, he came from Israel. Come into the back of our booth. I got something to show you. That's working with friendlies. So a few tips on the ethics side. If you're not sure whether what you're doing is ethically right or wrong, ask yourself, how would you feel if someone did that to you? Make your conference and trade show and organizational CI ethics explicit with a well-developed code of conduct. Make sure people know what they can and can't do. One pharmaceutical company I was working with, they had one of their people who, and when the CEO found out about this, he was livid, has phony press credentials so that she can ask questions and go behind the scenes. Explain your ethics code to all employees who attended. I actually do that. I'll have a briefing session with everybody going the night before, and I go, all right, let's go over the rules of engagement here. And finally, something to keep in mind, media, customers, others, they don't really distinguish between CI teams engaging on ethical collection, other employees, or even hired consultants. You will be tainted if you engage in those behaviors. And as I said beforehand, it's not necessary. And so there's a whole bunch of ethical ideas in the book that really fit nicely with Skip's code of ethics. I'm not going to go through them, but I'm certainly going to leave you with a copy of this afterwards. So let's wrap it up where I started from. There's a lot of information out there. The book was written to try to help you extend the scope of CI, improve your trade craft, help others as well. The reason why I picked trade shows is it's something that everybody in the organization can understand, whether it's for events, whether it's for parties, whether it's for conferences. They get it, they understand it, they all have great stories about it, and they all have terrible stories about it. So I'm putting in your hands through this talk and through the book ideas to not just improve how you do this, and I hope you found many of the ideas very useful, but ideas how to bring people onto your team, the friendlies, the R&D, and understand why you're doing that, and ideas on how to reach out to them and say, I know you haven't really looked at CI lately. You think we're just about fill in the blank, but I'm here to help you get ready for that event. If you can get that value out of this talk and out of the book itself, I'm a happy camper. The book is available through Skip for free. And the reason it's for free is to ensure that there are no barriers anywhere from getting a hold of this book. It's available for cheap on Amazon, If you want the hardcover, it's on Amazon for cheap. But the idea is to say, if you're from a less developed country, if you're a student, if you're stingy, whatever it might be, you can do it. You can get it for free. You can email the links to your friends and say, hey, let's have a talk about this afterwards. I'm trying to help CI grow and CI develop with these other fields. Okay, I'm pretty much at the time I said I was supposed to be at. I got lots more stuff.
Right in time. Wow. That's great, Jonathan. Just in time. Thanks so much.
Of course, it's just in time. I always tell you I end on time.
So let's say open. Always amazing.
It's a wealth of information. And by the way, there's another book before that one that the CI Foundation has. And if you're a SCIP member, you get it for free. That's got some of our leading lights writing chapters on how to do event intelligence. So that's a 2007 book, not a bad addition to this one.
Yeah,
questions,
okay, let's open
comments,
for Jonathan.
ideas.
Thanks so much. I will refer it in a few minutes, but let's first open for Q&A. Who would like to refer, to ask, to argue, whatever? Okay,
I want to make a comment while you're there.
Like,
I love Gabriel's title, which is Diplomatic Institute. I've been asked to give this, I have given this program to most Canadian officers at post, most of the diplomats, because they now go to events and they're able to help companies get that valuable information, because as government, they can talk to other government people. It's extraordinarily valuable. They're not just holding hands going in. I'm having luck also getting our science departments to send science personnel to provide assistance to the companies that are there. So once again, they can help them in the context of the kit. So very happy that I got a diplomatic institute at this event. And with that, let's open it up.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Okay, who is asking?
Okay, I'll start.
Yeah,
so
yes.
Thank you very much, John, for the talk. As somebody from outside of the CI community, I have a question. So a lot of times when employees are planning to go to events, either as exhibitors or visitors, it's often in a small circle of employees that are planning it. The employee, maybe somebody's helping organize it. It's always stressful because in the last minutes, the last days, they have lots of things to do. So I'm wondering, how do you connect these small cells working alone and under pressure and don't want to be bothered by others in the organization into all of the insights that you've shared now into how to do it correctly?
Okay, so that's a great question. And
Jonathan, it's a good question, because actually what Asaf was talking about is the culture organization in Israel. Always in the last minute, almost unprepared, no good planning, and that's just in a few minutes, in the last.
So I'm going to give you
days.
I'm going to give you a couple of pointers on that one, okay, for Asaf and to Avner. First of all, even if you do this the night before you go, you're better than most people. So if I put into the hands of my employees, now that you know you're going, these are the steps to follow, and integrate it in their heads, I'm good. Second thing, and I see this over and over again, and again, after you've seen this in my writing, I tell people, plan a year in advance, book your hotel rooms. And they always say, I don't know if I'm going. I don't book until I know that I'm going. And I look at them and go, if you don't book now, you're not going to get anything close to the event. And if you're not going, you can cancel. So number two is to say, look, there are certain events that you may be going to. Can we talk a bit about them now? And the third thing, and I love this because I see it over and over and over again, the same people going to the same events year after year after year who say to me, I'm not sure I'm going to go. Well, we know there's 70% return rate. So why not go, okay, I didn't get them this year, but I'm going to stay on their butts because I know they're probably going next year. Right? They're going to hedge their bets and then they're going to go. This is also very important in the online shows, because the online virtual shows now, they're a boon for us. They don't cost any money. So waiting for the budget to be approved is not as relevant when you're not traveling, number one. Number two, If I know there's an online event that's important, I can actually, unlike a trade show where maybe I have 5 people, I can have lots of people ready to answer and ask questions for me. So I get to mobilize more. So they're not sure they're going. I know they are because they've done it over and over and over again. So I'm just saying, hey, just in case, I got something for you. And that's why, again, back to why the book, it's so you can make the case over and over again with lots of examples, something for you to think about while you're there, before you go there, whatever it might be. And we got, and one of the comments that Ellen made about the book is that you couldn't believe how many CI personalities had advice in that book. We've known about the value of TSI for a long time. Long time. So we developed material, we've developed tradecraft, we have lots of stories. So the more you educate yourself on this, the more what Asaf is concerned about simply doesn't happen. And even more importantly, can it become ingrained in the culture of our organization? Now remember that external focus is what we're all about. Let's help them do it. So great question. I hope the answer, Asaf, helps you.
Thank you. And what is TSI?
Trade show intelligence.
Okay.
Event intelligence, trade show intelligence. I actually use the term events now, as I said, because it's broader than just trade shows. And I've learned so many valuable things at the office Hanukkah and Christmas party and the Thanksgiving party. And I'm not saying people getting drunk. I'm just, what I actually do is I set up a team and say, you're going to ask this person these questions because it fits with the kit. Let's meet in the kitchen every 30 minutes and see if we're going to change up plans. People hadn't thought about that. But I always say, where are people going to be? What is the social occasion? Avner and I were joking beforehand about the famous Jewish standard time where I go, we arrive late and we leave late. Okay, well, so you want to stick around the synagogue for an extra hour? You know, I've learned so much at synagogue. They know who I am. And I'm just sitting here going, I'm really curious about. By the way, I've also learned a lot when I go around the world and go to synagogues. Again, they know who I am. And I can tell you story after story. So much so that when I do this in my training program, calling it an event, I always ask participants at the end, what do you plan to do differently? And one of the participants said, I plan to go to synagogue more regularly. And I said, are you Jewish? He says, no, I'm not. I'm Catholic. I said, well, then you don't understand what it is that I said. You play with those you can't play. So again, if you know what you're doing, these events become, and I mean all events, become a goldmine for you.
Thank you.
Jonathan, you see, the problem, I tell you, I share with you the problem in Israel. That I have a lot of experience with briefing employees before trade show and so on. And I saw that everybody actually very much in agreement that it's really important and it's very valuable. The problem is practical. How influential is the CI director? How well people are related to him? How much he is, and another important question, is he going to be in the trade show as well, or he's staying in Israel because of expenses? And so if he's not in the trade show and he's there organizing and getting feedback and make sure that people will do whatever had been planned before, it's not going to happen. And
there's it's an interesting point to bring up. Now I'm gonna give you the refuting of that one. So one of the chapters is on using trade shows to increase your CI program. Okay, I call it a part 3, meaning I don't have management support at the beginning. I don't. Nobody does. It's very, very rare. So we do a little testing. So I help people get prepared. I spread out the word, but I'm not going because there's no budget. They come back and they go, you wouldn't believe what we found out. Okay, now I'm ready for the second one. I'm about to take my second shot. If you love that, let me give you a little bit more. So I call it level 1, level 2, level 3. So over 3 years, you're building the profile and respectability. And again, that goes back to the book. When I can tell the VP Innovation R&D, have you thought about, well, while you're there, can you ask? The first year, they're not asking many questions, but they come back and go, whoa, a lot better than I thought. Second year, they go, wow, can you actually come with me next year so we can get even more value out of this one? So don't assume you're going to go from nothing to everything. Assume influence picks up. And I know this because I work with lots of senior management, because your importance is seen there. So how do I get my importance factor up? I train them. I provide information. I get sales and marketing to say, wow, we've never done this at a show before. Now our close rate is bigger. And I'll tell you a quick story in that one. One of the companies I help, which is in the security industry, and I've got this on video, their person in charge of these things says, every year I go to a trade show. We did a mass blast email, and I would go from booth to booth trying to find sales prospects. She said, maybe I'd get 2 or 3. We felt very good. We had 2 or 3 and never won. She goes, not what I did at the last show because of the training is, and I'm not training CI people all the time. I'm training people, CI people say you want to take Calof's course. So she went to the course, and again, I love the video. She said, I profiled the companies that were going to be there to match it to who would likely be a sales prospect for us. She said, and then I came up with customized messages for each one. So that's a lot of profiling. She said, my hit rate went from 2 to over 70, which in her industry is huge. In the old show, she said, I handed out lots of t-shirts. She goes, but I got nowhere. This show, I didn't hand out a single t-shirt, and I can't believe the hit rate that I got. So she's now telling that story inside her organization, and she's going, thank you, CI, for helping me improve my hit rate. They now have influence, but at the beginning, they didn't. So, you know, go into the elevator. I got an idea for you. Send them one of the stories. What do you think? Does it make sense? Ask them, how can we adapt this for your needs? But human beings' initial reaction is, no matter how bad they've messed up in the past, they don't want to change what they're doing. So we're trying to make a compelling case with a few little tips to make them more effective. And so as you read the book and look at the material, you'll go, hey, this is something people have complained about. I've now got a tip I can give them, and you'll go up the ladder of importance.
Okay.
Jonathan, I wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yes, Amiram. We hear you.
I was the head of the competitive intelligence unit in the biggest bank in Israel, Bank of Poalim. And once I understood how important it is to get humid from trade shows, I asked the HR division in our bank to give me all the names a few months before, because it takes time to someone is going to a trade show, all the names of the VC or of the seniors that are going to be in trades or to go abroad, and then I would have met with them before, and then when they came back. Before that, I tried to make a process that everyone who's coming back from a trade show will give a report of what he saw. So the reports, you know, some wrote a report of a few words, and others of 1 page, not more than that. But once we formalized it, then the added value was very high. So I don't know if you are speaking in this, if you spoke about it, or if you wrote about it in your book. I think it's a very good way to formalize this very important niche of human information.
Absolutely. And Emran, that certainly email me after. That's a story that should be told. Okay, because that deals with what Avner just talked about, and I can put that into one of my columns. And just to drive home Amaran's point, like really big time, I was brought into a large South African mining company, and the head of CI said, Indaba's coming up, but not many of our executives are going. It's the major show, but we have budget constraints. And I said, I'll bet you're wrong. And he loves me, so he says, I'll introduce you to the management board, but you're going to find out. He asked the question, how many of you are going to Indaba? 75 managers raised their hand and said, we're going. And he went, holy crap. I, head of CI, did not know this many senior execs were going. And Amiram could tell you, if we don't organize them, they'll spend the entire show just talking to each other. I haven't seen you since yesterday.
I must tell you, I was in the same situation, I was amazed by the numerous number of the seniors that went abroad.
Yeah.
Either to other banks or to trade shows or to conferences, whatever. And you see people there and you can speak with them, get drunk, not you, get them drunk.
You got it. And this also goes back to the first question that we had, all right?
Oh, okay.
Let's assume you don't know who's going. Well, guess what? Who went last time? Ask, are they going again? And what Amiram said, they're writing a report, standardize the reports, or interview them when they get back. Say, can I take 10 minutes? And then you can get a consistent pattern going back. And back to the friendlies, ask them to, can you call some of these people afterwards?
The interview is very important, even more than the report, because then you can ask whatever you want to ask, and you can standardize the report, and also spread the word, spread the CI in your organization.
Fantastic. Avner, you were trying to shut this thing down, but no one wants to leave. Keep going, buddy.
Further to what Amiram just have said, you know, the challenge is at the end of such an event to be able to write down. Sometimes it's the responsibility of CI director, a report what we have gained in that trade show, and to show that the CI had an added value. And this kind, because everyone is writing his piece, who is having the whole picture and writing an intelligence report that will be shared later with other executives in the organization. This is a major challenge, not just to, to debrief that guy and that guy, but to do an intelligence report, which actually the bottom line is added value. What we have gained out of all these reports and talks that we have done. And I found, you see, in Israel, the companies that are doing it in the best, highest standard is the defense exporters. Yeah. We have like Rafael, Israel aviation industry and so on. They are fantastic on that thing. Then they know in advance when the trade show will be. They are debriefed everyone, and later on writing down that intelligence report. They are leaders in that, executing and implementing what you have done. Some of the others here in Israel are, unfortunately, if I look at the whole picture, are not very successful. And this is connected also to the I would say, how the CI director is conceived in the organization. Okay? And in many organizations, the standards of their, the ability of them to have an impact on the whole organization is unfortunate.
Well, welcome to why I've given you material that allows you to go to those people, not as CI, but as a colleague, and go, I can help you. Have you thought about doing this? If you're going to do R&D, here's some people at the show you might want to talk to. Make yourself valuable, even if they don't like CI.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Okay, Jonathan, we have to close. So I hope that many people will download the book and will use it. It's really very useful, and it's a nice idea by you and Skip to give it free. And I think that the advantage of your book is that it is practical. It's not theory, it's how to do things. So I would like, Jonathan, to thank you so much for your time, for your interest, for the support that you are giving us to here in Israel. And I hope to see you again quite soon. I hope that either we'll see you, maybe when you're coming again to Israel.
I hope I see you in Israel before I see you in Phoenix.
Phoenix, okay.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Bye, everybody. See you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you very much. I will try to put the recording also in the Teldan's YouTube channel if I'm able to take it out of Teams. Okay.
Seth, I
Right,
trust you to
right.
do it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.